What is up, everyone? JD Geeks here. Today, we have a package that I wasn't sure if I was ever going to actually get or not. But with me and some of my friends trying to make a public match for people to come to and wanting lower FPS Nerf guns, I did end up deciding to get one. So today, I have a package from Frontline Foam, and let's get right into it. All right, let's go over the other stuff first that I got in here. All right, that's everything. So we have a battery, just a LiPo, and some mags. Some of you could probably tell from either the battery or the mags itself, but the blaster we are talking about today is the BK1S. My friend did get this blaster, and after using it and comparing it to the piston pump, which in my opinion is a pretty fair comparison, I did prefer this a lot more, actually. The feeling of this blaster, in my opinion, is better. The look is obviously better. And the only downside, in my opinion, to this blaster is the mags. You can file down the mags or the mag well so it can take Talon mags, but other than that, this blaster is pretty solid. And I do have an extra buffer tube stock that I will be putting on this blaster to make it a little bit more comfortable, because I did hear that the stock is not very good and is pretty cheap, and the plastic warps a little bit. But let's get right into opening up this blaster. There we go. So I actually really do like this box, and I will probably keep this in as good of condition as possible. But let's see the inside. So take that off, you got a layer of foam. Then there is the blaster. I did get the gray edition. My friend has the clear orange from out of darts, but I did like this coloration more, so that's the one that I went with. In the box, you get some M-lock Picatinny rails. I'm not sure what this is. Oh, you get the 30 Zeus darts. You get one of the mags for the blaster. And then finally, the blaster itself. If I can get it out of the foam. Man, it is really in there. Does not want to come out. There we go. And just like that, there is the BK1S. Obviously the gray is probably the most dangerous version to have, but I didn't like the yellow, and my buddy already got the orange, and I did want something different, so I went with the gray. I will be removing this little black cap that they have and putting on a B car. The B car I'm thinking about putting on is probably going to be the B car that comes with the why am I the Nexus Pro X, because I did see Bradley Phillips use that when he tested out this blaster, and it seemed to do really well with it. So that is what I will most likely be using with this blaster. Some major differences between this blaster and the X-shot piston pump is the fact that the buffer tube stock, I actually like the buffer tube a bit more, since you can actually take it off. I'm pretty sure you can't take off the buffer tube that way. Other than that, some major things. This charging handle here does feel a little bit more sturdy, in my opinion, than the charging handle on the piston pump. It is not bad on the piston pump, though. So don't get this just for the charging handle. Then we come to the other features. I do like the mag release on this blaster a lot more as well. Buttons like that have always been kind of my style because of an actual AR. And then we have a jam clearing door, which has just a little button right here that can seal it. It is a very small opening, but from when my buddy and I have both used his to other people on the internet, this blaster does not jam very much. So I wasn't too worried about that. And then finally, the fire selecting switch is a bit more AR-like, which could make this, again, more dangerous, but I do like it. And it's very easy to just flip with your thumb to semi and then back to safe. And obviously full auto. Don't have to really move around too much. But all right, I guess I'm going to charge up the battery and I will see you guys in a little bit. All right, everyone, we are back, and there are a couple of things that I want to talk about from this blaster, just from charging up the battery and things like that, and then comparing it a little bit to the X-shot piston pump blaster. This blaster does not come with a B-car, as I mentioned before. I was going to put the Nexus Pro X B-car on, and here it is on here. If you are curious for the Nexus Pro X B-car, there is just a little piece of plastic that you just slide right out of the back of it, and then it fits in very, very well, or fits on very well. It is extremely tight, and this thing is not coming off. Other than that, I will show you in a slight issue that I have with the buffer tube and adding butt stocks onto it. It's not a major issue, and if you're used to using other buffer tube stocks, it is pretty easy to deal with. Another issue is the battery compartment. I do like the way that this fits right into the buffer tube compared to in the back of the stock, like the X-shot piston pump, because the piston pump is, or the fact that you can't use a buffer tube with it is pretty disappointing. I will say, though, that battery fits in there very, very well. And this one is a little bit more snug, but you just take the connector, connect the battery just like that, and then you just kind of take it and feed the battery right into the stock just like that. And here's the issue that I was talking about. If you push down here, you still do have to then pull the tab so it can fully seat. Again, it's not a major issue, but it does make it slightly more complicated, in my opinion, than the piston pump blaster itself. All right, other than that, the next thing that I wanted to talk about is the magazine well. As I said before, this does not take Talon mags, but this blaster does even have, with my blaster at least, it does have a slight issue with even these mags. It is a very tight fit. I don't know if you can hear the plastic rubbing against itself. It's not actually impeding me putting the mag in or taking it out. And if I even just give just a slight bit of force, it does just go right in. But I will say, compared to the piston pump, it is definitely tighter. But all right, the next step is to take this outside and do some accuracy testing and FPS testing. So I will see you outside. All right, JD Geeks fans. So we are now back at the chronograph, and I just want to show I have 3 of the darts that come stock with the blaster, 3 worker darts, 3 saber T darts, and then 3 dartzone bamboos. I am only going to be using these darts, even though I did hear that they are very, very good with this blaster, just for the chronograph testing. I will be using T darts like I have with every other blaster for the accuracy testing later. All right, and to test out this blaster, I don't know quite how the functions work quite yet. I believe you put it on to semi, so I put it on semi, squeeze the trigger once, it beeped, and then I believe if you squeeze it again, it pulled the bolt to the rear, and I believe loaded a dart as well. So, all right, let's get right into the chronograph testing. First up, we got 188.8, 191.6, 186.7, and 153. Oh, that was the first worker dart. Okay. So all of the darts that come stock with this blaster are right around the 180s, 190s. That first worker dart was 153. Let's see. Oh. Okay, so we do actually have a jam. A worker dart did get jammed in there. So let's see. I pull this back, opened up the jam door, and now I'm pulling out the magazine. I have both worker darts right here, so no issues with that. And you know what? I'm actually going to try and use the same dart just to see what happens. So if I pull it back and guide it in, doesn't seem to really have any issues now. Let's see what we get with it. 128.6, but again, that dart was very messed up. And, ooh, another jam. It seems to like to eat the worker darts, so I don't know if I'll use worker darts with this blaster, but let's see. Yeah, it guides right in that time. All right. 76.4. I will retry some worker darts. Let's see. All right, now the T darts, we got another jam. Really? I am shocked. It didn't even go. Well, let's take out that. Crazy. I must have the worst luck. Okay, let's try this again. The last one fed in fine. 46.9. I'm very confused. Let's see. Okay, with the bamboo darts, we get in 150 basically. 153.3 and 161.8. All right, I'm going to try another 2 saber T darts. I'm just going to pick up the ones off the ground. And let's see if I get jams with these. If I do, I don't know. So we got
That was 101.6 and 117.2. All right, I'm going to go grab 3 more worker darts and 3 more T-darts fresh out of the box, and let's see what happens then. I will be right back. All right, we are now back with the 6 brand new darts, 3 T-darts at the bottom, 3 workers at the top, and let's see how this does. I am very confused at why it was not working, but let's see if this changes it. 171.1. Oh, I didn't wait. All right. Well, at least we know it's shooting. Last worker dart. Actually, let's grab one of those again. This one was not a new one. This one is. Okay. We got 165.7, and then finally 172.1. That is much, much better. Much better. I'm okay with those numbers. All right. Now the T-darts, we got 101.0. Really? That low? 133.0. And finally 127.2. So the T-darts hit about 130s. Bamboos hit around 160. The darts that come stock with hit about 180. And then normal worker darts hit around 170, I think it is. That sounds about right. I mean, very interesting numbers for sure. But enough with the accuracy, or enough with the FPS testing. Let's get into some accuracy testing. Okay, so although they were acting a little weird during the FPS testing, I am going to still be using Saber T-darts just to keep it consistent with all the other FPS, or with all the other accuracy testing I've been doing. So I will go and give this a couple shots. So these mags that are meant for this blaster do only fit 12 darts in them. There is a very easy solution to that. There's a little piece of plastic you can file down and make it shoot or have it fit 15 shots. But since I can only fit 12, I'm going to do 12, and then I'll do 12 of full auto at the target, similar to what I did with the piston pump blaster. I will say though, this blaster does have a 2-round burst mode. I will not be using that mode because there's no real point. If you're going to be using either semi or full auto, you might as well choose one or the other, in my opinion. 2-round burst is not that great, in my opinion. So I will not be doing that. But all right, let's do 5 shots at the little targets still, and then we'll do the rest at the silhouette. I do not have any sights on this blaster, so I will just be adjusting based on where these go. All right, here we go. Low. Low again. Low. Okay, last shot. So I will say it is a very, very interesting deal. These darts I don't think work very well, so maybe I'll do a 2 mags of worker darts. Let's see, because it is a lower FPS blaster. That might explain why. Let's take a couple shots at the silhouette. Okay, that's better. A little low still though. Yeah, they definitely drop. All right, we got 2 shots left. So I have to aim pretty high with the Saber T-darts to really get them to hit the target. So what I'm going to do, although I haven't done any other blaster video or any other accuracy testing yet, I'm actually going to go grab 2 mags of worker darts, and I'll do my full auto testing and my accuracy testing with some full auto, or with the worker darts instead of the T-darts. I will be right back. All right, now that we are back with normal worker darts, let's see how these perform compared to the Saber T-Dart Heavies. I do think this will be a lot better, so let's see what we get here. All right, let's do 5 shots at the smaller targets again. All right, and here we go. Oh my, so much better. Okay, I was aiming almost dead on with just looking kind of down the barrel with that, because again, I still don't have sights on here, and I hit it once. In the other shots, I did rush one. I think it affected the FPS, so it dropped pretty short. But other than that, that was pretty dead on. So let's see how it does on the human silhouette target. Hit, hit, hit. A little low, a little high. Hit. I think I got 1 shot left. And hit. Okay, that was so much better. So this blaster, at least with the stock configuration, cannot use Saber heavy T-darts. I am now finding out. And it's good to show that, because I knew it was a lower FPS blaster, but man, those shots were really just dropping right to the ground. But all right, let's get some full auto on this target here, and let's see how it does. A lot of those shots did drop right off. I don't know why that is. My blaster might be having some issues, but I'm actually going to go fill up another magazine with even more fresh worker darts and see how it does. Because I'm thinking this blaster might need a bit of breaking in. Obviously, if you spend money on a blaster, you don't really want to have to break it in. But it has also seemed to be performing better and better each time that I've really tried it. So let's go get one more mag, and this will be the last attempt of the accuracy testing. Let's do another round of full auto, and then we will be good to go. All right, I will see you in just 1 second. Alrighty, as I said, this is going to be the last the last part of the accuracy testing. No matter what, if this blaster does not perform well, that just shows that the blaster isn't very good. I do have high hopes, because I know that with my friends, BK1S, it does work extremely well. So let's just check it out and see. So again, full auto. Let's see how it does. Although not perfect, that was definitely much, much better. I would use that in a war if I had to. I would switch to full auto and melt someone really quick, hit them with a bunch of darts, and then get out of there. This blaster is going to be my 150 FPS blaster. I do have a downgrade spring for it, just to make sure it is under the cap 100%. Other than that, though, I did also find that it was only the mag that came stock with the blaster. None of the other mags that I bought are doing it, because this mag I got separately. It just glides right in and out. It is absolutely amazing. So I think it might just be the mag that the blaster of my blaster came with. But other than that, I think it does work really, really well. So let's go inside and we'll talk about it a little bit more. All right, we are now back from the chronograph and accuracy testing. I did realize that I forgot to do one more thing that I did do for the piston pump, and I do want to show that now. So I'll load up a dart, and this is just spraying as fast as I can on semi-automatic.
because I know for the piston pump, I could squeeze the trigger about 2 times before, and I'd only get 1 shot off. So I do want to show how fast the semi is on this blaster. Here we go. So although there is a very, very slight delay, overall, this blaster does shoot almost every time I squeeze the trigger. And if you paid attention at the end, the blaster did actually have a couple shots after it was out because I had already squeezed the trigger. There were a couple delay shots, but overall, this blaster did shoot a lot faster than the X-shot piston pump did. Now, let's talk about a final review of this blaster. There are a couple of issues with it, as you saw in the FPS and the accuracy testing, especially compared to something like the piston pump, where that didn't have any issues out of the box. But as I said, it did seem to like break itself in as I was using it. And as you could tell right there, we had no jams like we did at the beginning when I was doing the FPS testing. So I don't really know what that was about. And now, if we're talking about what would I choose between these two blasters, honestly, I'd like to say it's a little hard, but it's not. And although I have had issues with the BK1S, obviously, as you've seen throughout the video, I would still choose the BK1S over the piston pump now that I have both of them. The piston pump, although it's good, and for a beginner, if you had to choose between these two, you're not really into the hobby yet, you're not quite sure 100% if you want an AEB, go with the piston pump. It's cheaper, it's got talent compatibility, it comes with a battery, comes with iron sights, comes with a B car. You can easily swap the barrel out, things of that nature. But for someone who's as into the hobby as me and who plans on using this in matches and tournaments and things like that, I do definitely prefer the BK1S. The fact that it has the limitations from the mag and it jammed a little bit and stuff like that. It was very easy to fix those jams. Even when I wasn't rushing, I was still able to get it done in 5 seconds. Nothing major at all. And after using it a little bit, it didn't even jam at all. I mean, it's a gorgeous looking blaster. It is actually a lot lighter than the piston pump I just felt when I picked it up, which shocked me a little bit. The only real downside, in my opinion, from this compared to that is the fact that it does have its own magazines, and then it obviously doesn't come with any iron sights or a B car. Other than that, would prefer this blaster, 100%. This is actually going to be, as I said earlier, my 150 FPS blaster for future games and tournaments that I would like to partake in. And yeah, so I will show you how to deprime this blaster. It is very similar to the Xshot Piston Pump. You take it, you flip it to semi-automatic, just like that, and then you just squeeze and hold the trigger. It'll then beep like it's saying it's in double shot, double shot, and then once it makes that second beep, you can let go, and it deprimes the blaster. Pretty simple. Still same as the piston pump, but this does have a bit more features, shoots a little bit faster, looks better, is a little bit lighter, and I think after a little bit of use and or potential modding, this blaster will be amazing. that about wraps up my review on the BK1S blaster. I do plan on putting in a lighter spring, as I said earlier, to get this below 150 for future tournaments that I'd like to take part in. But for now, I'm going to probably leave it in this configuration, shoot it a bit more, see if it gets any better or worse, and then go from there. But that about summarizes my review of the BK1S. JD Geeks signing off. Have a good one.